Bottom line is conservatives are tolerant. We are, kind of get out of your business. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. It's time to push back.
Politicians like Lindsey Graham still think that just because they say something's true, everyone will ignore what they've seen and just believe him instead. Even though he himself has proven just how big of a lie their small government declarations are.
Trying to do 15, maybe 16 weeks as a national limitation. Let the states decide up to a point. At a point the child develops.
It's why every time their lies around eliminating Americans' right to their own reproductive health get exposed, they come back with more declarations about how they're not going to do what they're literally doing.
The last thing we'll do is shut down a fertility clinic to have a child that you desperately want. And the last thing we'll ever do is try to outlaw birth control. So when Hillary Clinton talks about that, that tells me they've run out of things to say about their own agenda. It's BS, and it's not going to work.
The last thing we'll do is shut down fertility clinics and outlaw birth control. It's BS. So who's going to tell Lindsey what his party's been up to?
Attacking IVF was yet another chance for anti-choice Republicans to erode women's rights in this country. They've introduced a federal abortion ban that would supersede state laws. They've stacked the courts with anti-choice judges. They've limited funding to women's health care. And they have repeatedly ignored the very science behind reproductive health care in order to push their agenda. We knew this was coming. We have introduced numerous legislation on this floor to protect women's rights. And every single time, unfortunately, one of our Republican colleagues comes forward to object without any explanation, but continuing to really erode women's rights in this country.
This is such a slam dunk issue for most Americans. But since Republicans have completely abandoned the idea of representing even the people that vote for them, they can't help but to charge forward. Well, Democrats do see this easy layup that they're being given, and they're taking it.
So he supports, this is what he said, he supports a national ban. And if you're Lindsey Graham and others, they're going to bring that down well below 16. He will sign a national ban. You want to understand the contours of this debate that we will be having over the next 9 months, ironically 9 months, between now and November, and the consequences of Democratic Party not succeeding in Biden's reelection?
The Alabama court ruling regarding IVF treatments that Republicans are now trying to backpedal from, or at least come up with some fixes for, still isn't enough of a signal to Mississippi Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, who wildly blocked a proposed federal measure to protect IVF treatments in the middle of all this madness.
This was a case brought by families whose human embryos were killed when an unauthorized individual walked into the fertility clinic through an unsecured door, removed several human embryos, and dropped them, causing their deaths. The court's holding in favor of the parents found that these frozen human embryos are children under Alabama law. It did not ban IVF, nor has any state banned IVF. The bill before us today is a vast overreach that is full of poison pills that go way too far.
Anytime Steve Doocy from Fox and Friends constantly tries to tell Republicans that they're on the wrong side of history and they still won't listen, you know that they've completely abandoned that whole idea of representation in the legislature and just want to do what they want to do.
The Republicans have a lot to work with. They're just not working with it.
Well, but ultimately it comes down to the Democrats have a really potent issue, and that is abortion, because, ever since Roe v. Wade was overturned, pretty much every time the Democrats have run on abortion, they have won. And here's the bad, and was last night a harbinger for 2024, as you were alluding to, Ainsley? Absolutely. You know why? Because there are opponents and proponents trying to put abortion rights on the ballots in the states of Florida, Nevada, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. So it's going to be, if you're a Republican running in those states, you're going to have a tough 2024.